Hello, everyone. Here we are with another interview of CSPC 2021 interview series, and we are pleased to be with Dr. Eliane Ubalijoro, Future Earth Global Health Director of Canada, and also Executive Director for Sustainability in the Digital Age. Eliane, welcome to CSPC 2021.
Thank you, Mehrdad. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Pleasure is ours. So let me start off with this question that a lot of people know, that CSPC and Future Earth and Sustainability in the Digital Age have jointly started this national dialogue on digital technology and sustainability. Could you tell us what you have accomplished so far and what should be expected as an outcome of the project soon?
Okay. So far, we've had 3 themed 2-day events, and those themes had one component that was a public town hall, a second event that was an expert work series of roundtables, and the first theme was around awareness, digitalization, the Sustainable Development Goals. The second theme was around partnerships for the sustainability, leveraging digitalization. And the third one was around Indigenous science and knowledge for transformative solutions towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And so what we have is an amazing amount of knowledge that we've gathered from expertise across Canada. And we're looking forward to sharing that expertise at the upcoming CSPC 2021 to make sure that what we've learned can inform policymakers, public sectors, experts, private sector, as well as nonprofits and academia in terms of what are the areas that really can allow us to help accelerate Canada moving towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
Right. So digital technologies and data are key transformational tools. How can policymakers support this global idea of going digital and scaling up public awareness for sustainability?
So one of the things we've learned with COVID-19 is that access to digitalization isn't equal around the world and in Canada. So one of the important points we've seen is there's a real critical need to increase access to broadband internet and services to bridge digital divides. And this is with a critical focus on the Canadian North, where access to internet is still a big challenge. But we've had the joy of working with experts who are actually entrepreneurial, trying to move this forward, but this really needs to be accelerated. We also know that we need to reduce barriers to investment in the adoption of digital technologies in all sectors and at all levels of governance. We know that we need to develop technical standards that enable secure, stable, and open access internet for all. We also know that we need to improve privacy and data protection strategies at the highest level of governance, while also encouraging the availability and use of data, including public sector data related to social and environmental good. We know that implementing technologically unbiased frameworks that promote pre-competitive collaborations for sustainability are really critical. We also know that using open, transparent, and inclusive process to shape global internet governance matter, and Canada can play a critical role there. We also think to aim to reduce barriers for e-commerce within and across borders with policies that strengthen consumer trust, minimize product lifecycle footprint, and product safety are critical, as well as improving education and lifelong training to respond to the demand for general and specialist digital and sustainability skills.
So let me ask you about social innovation, Eliane. You mentioned briefly about the social issues. Social innovation is presented as a viable option to motivate systemic changes related to sustainable innovation. Mm-hmm. So what are the key barriers to social innovation and cross-sectoral collaborations, and how can both public and private sectors collaborate on this?
So one of the things we know is that funding mechanisms today favor certain parts of the population. We know that women and people of color, as well as Indigenous populations, are underfunded and have great ideas that can have high impact that need to be funded. So we know that funding and capital opportunities, so organizations have the financial resources to develop, adopt, and grow sustainable, innovative solutions to social and environmental problems where there's a high level of diversity in their employees is really critical. We also know that enabling policy and regulatory environment to generate the conditions for social innovation, social finance, and social purpose organizations to flourish have to also be focused on. We also know that in terms of skills and capacity building, we need a class of leaders that are able to navigate the turbulent world we live in. So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And we need to turn those into vision, into understanding, into clarity and agility. And so how we train the leaders for tomorrow and the leaders for today is really critical. So we need to equip these leaders and organizations with the knowledge and resources to adopt social innovation and social finance approaches for sustainability.
Very interesting. I want to ask you about one of the panels. One of the 3 panels that we held was on Indigenous science and knowledge driving transformative solutions. It was a fascinating session. Could you tell our audience what did you learn from this panel?
So one of the things that we learned that was amazing is there is a urgent need for convenings for Indigenous voices to be heard. We need spaces for too wide seeing to be embedded in how we do research, bringing Indigenous science and knowledge and Western academic frameworks together to bridge the divides. We really need to have a space where our collective intelligence is larger and more powerful than our individual intelligence. And this really needs to have an IDI framework. We really need to work on how can inclusion, diversity, and equity be central to how we do work and how do we empower Indigenous populations. What we know is that economic growth in Indigenous populations in terms of entrepreneurship is very high. And so, however, we also know that the means for access to education, means to access to capital, means to access to coaching and support and the networks needed to move forward are not there. We also need that the experts that are excellent at what they're doing have issues of burnout because there's too much work for them to do. So we need to train the next generation of Indigenous leaders. We need to work with communities in a trauma-sensitive way that ensures that the traumas that they hold and the intergenerational traumas are dealt with in order for them to focus on the present and to focus on moving forward governance, entrepreneurship that really serves not only us, but 7 generations down the line. So we know that this aspect of digital movement is very important. We know that there are exciting projects happening in Indigenous communities. And we know that we really need to accelerate their access to support to really ensure that they're as impactful as they could be. And so this is what we know is critical. And we also know that data sovereignty is important. How do we ensure that we have fair and care principles and how we're working with data to ensure that everybody benefits from data strategies as we move forward? What we've seen through COVID is that a lot of people lost their jobs, but at the same time, technology companies increased valuations enormously. So we know that our economies are highly driven by harnessing insights from data. And so the combination of those insights from data, as well as Indigenous science and wisdom, is really what we need to do to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, harnessing Indigenous wisdom.
Thank you. Fascinating to hear those points. And I want to encourage everyone that the public town hall sessions were recorded and are available online. Please watch them. And also some of the results of these town halls and consultation sessions will be presented, as Eliane said, at a symposium, upcoming Science Policy Conference. So Eliane, you're not attending CSPC for the first time. I know you had attended before, but this is the first time in your new role attending the CSPC. Could you tell us the value of the CSPC for science and innovation policy community?
So CSPC is where everybody meets in Canada to make change at the interface of policy and innovation. And so it's very exciting because not only is CSBC able to bring in the highest level of leadership in government, but also in NGOs and private sector and all come together. And what we know is the more we live our interdependence, the more change becomes easy. So CSPC is critical to how Canada innovates for the future. And I'm looking forward to participating and networking and meeting more people so we can accelerate Canada's pathway towards 2030 and 2050.
Thank you for your kind words. In fact, also let me thank you on behalf of the community for leadership on the National Dialogue Profile. Very much looking forward to working with you on this and also future projects that we are thinking. It is a pleasure to have you with us at the CSBC 2021 and look forward to future opportunities. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for that. This has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Hello.